The movie kicks off with a cargo ship being attacked by pirates during a storm. Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, emerges from the ocean riding his colossal seahorse named Storm and starts cleaning house, taking out the pirates, all while his voiceover discusses his past life, where after defeating his brother Orm Ocean Master, portrayed by Patrick Wilson, Arthur is now the king of Atlantis, a role he finds tedious and dull. He's also with Mera, played by Amber Heard, and they have a son named Arthur Jr. Arthur's parents, Thomas, played by Temuera Morrison, and Atlana, played by Nicole Kidman, also help raise Jr., while Arthur grapples with his duties as king and as Aquaman. It's shown that Jr. has inherited Arthur's ability to communicate with underwater creatures. Up in the Arctic, David Kane, Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, leads an expedition team seeking vengeance against Aquaman. In pursuit of finding Atlantis, he collaborates with a marine biologist named Dr. Stephen Shin, played by Randall Park, and others. Meanwhile, Shin and another team member fall into an ice crevasse, awakening a creature that had been frozen in the ice for ages, which then extends its tentacle and dooms a team member. Later on, David and his team find Shin, along with other creatures completely encased in ice. David dives into the water and reaches a black tentacle. He puts the two halves together and visions a monster king named Atlan, played by Pilo Asbeck, who summons David with the promise that freeing him will aid in David's quest to destroy his enemy. 5 months later, global temperatures are worryingly on the rise. Mera takes Arthur to debate the issue before the Atlantis Council, led by Karshon, played by India Moore. Arthur believes it's time for Atlantis to reveal itself to the surface world, a move that's quickly opposed by everyone. Arthur grabs a beer with his dad, venting about the challenges of kingship, especially when no one else seems to agree with him. In the Atlantic, David's hunting for a fuel source called orichalcum, believed to be in Atlantis, which could power machines designed by Dr. Shin. After locating Atlantis's orichalcum reserves, David attacks. Atlana and Mera defend their realm, battling Black Manta. He uses his laser helmet to paralyze Mera. Just before he can finish her, Aquaman arrives to fight. Manta has a tri-pronged spear giving him extra power, even without his suit. Arthur chases David, but he uses a device on his ship to knock Arthur out with a sonic pulse. Later, Karshon tries to pin the Atlantis attack on Arthur, while Mera ends up hospitalized. Arthur discusses with Atlana and King Nereus, played by Dolph Lundgren, how to handle the Black Manta threat. They realize David's using orichalcum to heat the planet. To find Manta, Arthur suggests they need his brother Orm's help, despite Atlana and Nereus doubting it's wise to free him from prison. But Arthur trusts Orm could be different this time. Arthur, donning an invisible suit, sneaks into a prison in the fisherman's realm. With him is an octopus named Topo, a master of concealment. Orm has been deprived of much of his water, grown thin and weak. Arthur finds his brother and, before freeing him, fights with the merciless guards. But Orm isn't exactly thrilled to see Arthur, his brother. The two brothers take control of two colossal sea monsters, which help them resurface. More guards chase after the siblings, but Orm, having regained his strength on the shore, fends them off well. The brothers retreat back into the ocean, pursued by a relentless wave of support forces. The brothers journey to an underwater pirate haven, called the Sunken Fence. There, they seek intel on finding David from a criminal boss named King Fish, played by Martin Short. But King Fish refuses to help. During the standoff, Arthur and Orm duke it out with his henchmen. Afterward, Arthur places a helmet on King Fish's head to drain the water and end him. But King Fish starts spilling the beans about Manta, hidden in a dormant volcano known as the Devil's Trench. With enough info, Arthur smashes the helmet and escapes with Orm. Meanwhile, Shin finds David speaking with Cordax in a mirror, but the image of the nefarious king disappears before Shin can see him. After David exits the room, Shin touches his trident and sees visions of Cordax, but David warns him not to pry into his affairs. Arthur and Orm, along with Topo, land on an island hiding the so-called Devil's Trench. Surrounded by a vast jungle full of mutated flora and fauna, they find themselves in a real wild ride. Sprinting away from gigantic insects, Arthur accidentally knocks down a statue, creating a makeshift bridge for him and Orm to cross. Afterwards, they chuck the statue off the edge, sending those bugs to their doom. As they keep moving towards their goal, Arthur and Orm can't seem to stop bickering. But just before they could find a moment's peace, boom! They stumble upon Manta's lair, only to be knocked out by his goons. Shin, who's now clued in on how nuts Manta really is, finds the brothers and wants in on their team. But before he can spit out the full story, bam! Stinger, Manta's right-hand woman played by Jenny Zhao, bursts in and knocks Shin out cold. The bad guys are hot on the brothers' trail, but this time with a twist. Stinger is controlling this huge antenna-wielding robot that's chasing them down. Arthur and Orm have to team up to take down the mecha. Just when they're getting somewhere, Manta shows his face, and it's go time. They're throwing down, but just before Manta could deal a deadly blow to Orm, the Atlantean forces led by Nereus swoop in and wreck the place, sending Manta and his cronies running with their signature sonic attack. Thankfully, Mera swoops in and saves Arthur. They all come to above ground, where Orm starts spilling the beans on the black trident, which he had his hands on once. He reveals that it was crafted by King Atlan's bro, Cordax. Yes, that Cordax who started his own thing called Necrus, aka Lost Kingdom. Cordax built that fearsome weapon in a power grab for Atlantis, but it totally backfired, corrupting him and turning his people into monsters. To free Cordax, you need blood from a direct descendant of Atlan, meaning Manta could be gunning for any one of them, Arthur, Orm, Atlana, or even little Arthur Jr. It's family ties with a twist, and nobody's safe. So, Manta invades Amnesty Bay, attacks Thomas's house, assaults Thomas, kidnaps Junior, and sets the house on fire. Then, Arthur rescues his father, taking him to Atlanta for care. After realizing that David snatched Junior, Shin sends a signal to the Atlanteans to find them. Arthur joins forces with Mera, Orm, Nereus, and King with the actor John Rhys Davies to hunt down Manta. David and Stingray head to Necrus, and David prepares to bring Junior to the throne of King Orm. Arthur calls on the deep-sea creatures to assist him. These creatures cause an overload. Frequencies at the enemy base, leading to a blast that kills Stingray and the mercenaries, just before Manta plans to use Junior's blood. Instead, Shin hands Manta a bag with a bomb while ensuring Junior's safe escape. After battling other mercenaries, Arthur and Orm face off against Manta. But Manta severely wounds Arthur, causing him to bleed and awaken Cordax. Orm, shocked and under Cordax's influence, Cordax tries to turn the brothers against each other. However, using Orm's inherent goodness, Arthur breaks free from the control, and both escape it. Arthur hurls the black trident at Cordax, but he catches it. Then, Shin throws Arthur's trident to him, which Arthur launches straight through the black trident, shattering it and destroying Cordax. As Necrus begins to collapse with Cordax's death, David starts falling into a chasm. Arthur offers him a chance to be saved, but David, smiling, tells Arthur never, and lets himself fall to his death, while the rest escape to safety. After their escape, Arthur and Mera thank Shin for saving Junior. They all decide to pretend Orm died in the collapse to give him his freedom. Orm says his goodbyes to his brother and mother before swimming away. Arthur returns to Atlantis, making his dream of revealing the city to the surface world a reality. Atlantis rises from the ocean for all to see. and Arthur speaks at the United Nations about uniting land and sea. He proudly ends his speech as the King of Atlantis and, of course, as Aquaman. During the credits, Orm is seen eating a hamburger for the first time, a nod to when Arthur had suggested he try one. He then spots a bug crawling nearby, one of those creepy crawlies Arthur had jokingly convinced him people eat. And with a mischievous grin, Orm adds it to his burger.
Have fun, but don't forget to subscribe and like. Love you guys. See ya!